Spider-Man versus Green Goblin, hero of the borough versus the Goblin King. Peter Parker swung into life as Spider-Man the night a radioactive spider bite gifted him super strength, agility, and spider sense. He vowed to use these gifts responsibly, an ideal born in tragedy when he let a thief escape and lost Uncle Ben. But lurking in New York's skyscraper shadows was Norman Osborn, industrialist, scientific genius, and Peter's mentor turned mortal enemy known as the Green Goblin. Donning a high-tech suit and goblin mask, Osborn became Spider-Man's greatest rival, an avatar of chaos targeting both hero and heart. The birth of the Goblin. Norman Osborn was desperate to save his failing company, Oscorp. Experimenting with a mysterious serum, he unlocked superhuman strength, heightened reflexes, and an unnerving manic intelligence, but at the cost of his sanity. Emerging as the Green Goblin in the Amazing Spider-Man number 14 from 1964, he wielded pumpkin bombs, razorback glider, and a deranged grin. To him, Spider-Man represented all that was wrong with Osborn's world, a glorified vigilante, unbound by corporate strategy or boardroom rules. Ideological war on instinct versus control. Spider-Man operates on instinct and heart, saving civilians in a split second, feeling guilt over collateral damage, and striving to balance his personal life with crime fighting. The Green Goblin, by contrast, plots with cold calculation, financial takeovers disguised as citywide crises, psychological torture aimed at Peter's loved ones, and publicity stunts designed to prove that power without restraint reigns supreme. Their clash is a battle between compassionate chaos and ruthless control. Legendary confrontations on Amazing Spider-Man number 122 to 123 from Comics 1973. Their duels reshaped Spider-Man's world. In the landmark Goblin's Last Stand, the Goblin discovered Parker's secret identity and orchestrated a brutal showdown that claimed Gwen Stacy's life, changing Peter forever. In Web of Shadows, Osborn exploits a symbiote outbreak to frame Spider-Man as a villain and plunge Manhattan into debt and terror. Each encounter pushes Peter's courage to the brink while exposing Norman's tragic vulnerability beneath the mask, the endless dance of hero and monster. To this day, the Green Goblin embodies the peril of genius corrupted by ambition and instability, while Spider-Man stands for resilience, responsibility, and hope. Their rivalry reminds us that every hero's strength is measured by the foes they overcome, and that behind every monster there may still be a man worth saving. For Spider-Man, every swing back toward the light is also a chance to save the soul he once admired. Captain America versus the Red Skull, a beacon against a skull-faced nightmare. Steve Rogers, frail youth turned super soldier, pierced the haze of World War II clad in red, white, and blue. His indomitable spirit rallied troops, inspired hope, and became the symbol America needed. But standing across every battlefield, spy master lab, and propaganda broadcast was Johann Schmidt, the Red Skull. Where Cap embodied selfless courage, Schmidt twisted patriotism into oppression. Their rivalry begins not as fists against flesh, but as ideals at war, one built on serving others, the other on dominating them through fear. From failed experiment to furor of fear, Johann Schmidt's early life was steeped in violence and loss. Orphaned by war, he was recruited by Hydra, lured by promises of power. A clandestine super serum trial scarred his face into the red skeletal visage that became his trademark. In Captain America Comics number 1 on 1941, the Red Skull reveals his ambition: control the war's outcome by engineering death ray technologies and brutal Hydra squads. With each diabolical invention, cosmic cubes that rewrite reality, death rays that shatter fortresses, Schmidt sought to prove that fear, not freedom, is humanity's true master. D-Day showdowns and jungle ambushes. Captain America's first missions pitted him directly against the Red Skull's machinations. On the beaches of Normandy, Schmidt's sleeper agents unleashed explosives beneath Allied tanks, forcing Cap to improvise rescues under mortar fire. Deep in the Pacific jungles, Schmidt's chemical weapons threatened entire villages, prompting Rogers to lead guerrilla teams in hit-and-run sabotage. In each encounter, Cap's shield deflected bullets and morale-crushing propaganda leaflets alike. Their battles were as much about saving lives as dismantling Schmidt's twisted vision of order through terror, post-war resurrection, and ideological warfare. Though presumed dead, the Red Skull resurfaced again and again in cloning vats as disembodied brains, even as ghostly apparitions. In the 1984 arc, The Red Skull Lives, from Captain America number 297 to 300 comics book, Schmidt hijacks political broadcasts to reignite fascist fervor in modern America. He engineers crises, nuclear meltdowns, stock market crashes, then positions himself as the only one capable of restoring stability. Each plot forces Cap to confront a new battlefield, public opinion. Rogers must expose Schmidt's manipulations without betraying the very freedoms he defends. The eternal struggle of light versus shadow. Today, the Red Skull stands as Captain America's most personal rival. He is the dark reflection of Rogers' ideals. Absolute power corrupted, patriotism perverted into fear. Every time Cap raises his shield, he does so against not just bullets, but the insidious allure of authoritarian control. And yet, Steve Rogers never ceases believing that even the darkest souls can choose light. Their conflict endures because it asks a timeless question. When the world trembles before terror, will you stand up for freedom or let fear become your ruler? Hulk versus Thunderbolt Ross. A green colossus meets an iron will. Bruce Banner's life was forever altered by a gamma radiation accident that unleashed the Hulk, an unstoppable titan of brute strength and raw emotion. For every skyscraper crushed or cosmic threat failed, there was one man who refused to see the Hulk as hero. General Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross. Ross dedicated his life to national security, first hunting Nazis in World War II, then climbing army ranks. To Ross, the Hulk was an uncontrollable weapon, a danger to civilians, and a blow to military authority. Their rivalry didn't start with rage, it began with a clash of principles. Banner's hope for redemption versus Ross's belief in order through force. From patriotic soldier to obsessed hunter, born into a military family, Ross learned discipline and duty as a boy. He saw war's horrors early on and resolved to prevent them at any cost. When Banner's accident threatened innocent lives, Ross spearheaded the hunt to contain or eliminate the Hulk. His promotion to 4-star general gave him the authority to deploy specialized Hulkbusters units equipped with tanks, jets, and experimental weaponry. Ross saw Banner's gift as a curse to be snuffed out, vowing he would capture or destroy the monster that eluded every conventional tactic. Each failed operation only deepened his obsession, turning professional duty into personal vendetta, ideological clash, control versus chaos. Their battles extend beyond muscle to a war of worldviews. Banner believes the Hulk, though imperfect, can be a force for good, saving countless lives through raw, impassioned action. Ross insists that unchecked power, no matter how well-intentioned, leads to collateral damage and tyranny. In The Incredible Hulk, number 135 on 1970, Ross blasts gamma base with experimental sonic cannons, arguing that containment is more humane than mercy. Banner counters in Hulk number 1 on 2008. using his intellect and the Hulk's power to avert a missile strike on a civilian city. Every clash, whether in jungles, deserts, or urban canyons, underscores their mutual conviction. One fights for freedom through strength, the other for safety through control. The birth of Red Hulk. When Hunter becomes the monster, Ross's obsession reached its tragic apex in Hulk, Volume 2, Numero 1, on 2008. Desperate to gain the Hulk's power and finally conquer him, Ross volunteers for a covert gamma enhancement program. He emerges as the Red Hulk, crimson skin, heat generating, and fiercely strategic. Now armed with Banner's former strength and his own military cunning, he turns the tables. No longer a general directing soldiers, but a living weapon with lethal autonomy. Their first duel as monstrous equals Pitt's green fury against red fire, each testing who truly embodies and who can best wield the Gamma legacy. The never-ending conflict to this day, Hulk vs. Thunderbolt Ross, remains one of Marvel's most personal rivalries. It's not simply hero versus villain, but soldier versus scientist, order versus chaos, hunter versus hunted. Every confrontation forces both men to question their convictions. Can power be tamed by discipline? Can discipline stifle the instinct to protect? Their saga, spanning jungles, cityscapes, and secret labs, reminds us that the greatest battles often lie within, and that even heroes can become monsters when obsession eclipses compassion. When the dust settles, neither truly wins or loses. Their destinies remain entangled in a green and red dance that will endure as long as the Hulk's heartbeat echoes. Flash vs. Eobard Thawne, Scarlet Speedster against the Reverse Flash. Barry Allen, the forensic scientist turned Scarlet Speedster, fights crime at lightning speed, defending Central City with heart and heroism. Across the time stream looms his ultimate nemesis, Professor Eobard Thawne, the Reverse Flash. While Barry channels the Speed Force to save lives, Thawne taps his negative counterpart to sow chaos, proving that every hero's gift can be twisted into a curse. Their rivalry ignites, not in a single moment, but across timelines. Barry's hopeful future battling Thawne's obsessive past. The birth of the Reverse Flash. Eobard Thawne hailed from the 25th century, an elite scientist obsessed with the legend of the Flash. Driven by admiration, he replicated Barry's accident, immersing himself in the Speed Force. But the attempt backfired, corrupting his body and mind. Yellow lightning crackled around him as he became the Reverse Flash, gifted with speeds that outstripped and inverted Barry's abilities. His powers let him travel through time, rewrite history, and vanish at will, leaving behind only temporal distortions and shattered realities. In Flash number 139 on 1963, Thawne first emerged in Barry's era, revealing that admiration can curdle into envy, and that the quest to be like one's idol can become the darkest obsession of all. A war through time. Their conflict transcends mere physical speed. It's a duel of destinies. Barry races to protect timelines, mending paradoxes, and preserving the future. Thawne tears at history's threads, orchestrating tragedies like the murder of Barry's mother to prove that the past is pliable. In the landmark arc Flashpoint, Flash Volume 1-125 to 129 on 2011, Thawne manipulates Barry into altering history, plunging the world into dystopia. Each collision of red and yellow lightning doesn't just crack the sky, it reshapes reality itself. Iconic showdowns. Their battles are time-shattering spectacles. In the return of Barry Allen on 1993, Thawne traps Barry in the Speed Force, leaving him stranded decades in the future. In Race Against Time, Flash Volume 2, Number 0 on 2000, Reverse, Flash forces Barry to confront the limits of his power to save innocent lives. And in the recent Year 1 arc, Thawne's stalking of a fledgling Barry reveals how every choice can ripple across years. These duels are more than high-velocity fights. They're moral tests, forcing Barry to weigh sacrifice against salvation, the endless loop of light and darkness. To this day, Eobard Thawne embodies the danger of unchecked obsession, a brilliance warped by envy into cruelty. He's the shadow to Barry's light, unstoppable because he knows Barry's every strength and weakness. Yet Barry Allen's unwavering belief in justice and his capacity for compassion remain his greatest weapons. Their eternal race reminds us that speed alone cannot define a hero. It's the choices made in the smallest moments, whether to help or to hurt, that shape one's legacy. And as long as time flows, the Flash and his Reverse Flash will sprint their timeless duel into every tomorrow. Wonder Woman versus Cheetah. In Marvel Comics, Cheetah is always strongest rival enemy against Wonder Woman. However, Wonder Woman didn't always see Dr. Barbara Minerva, aka Cheetah, as an enemy. In fact, there was even a time when Diana admired Barbara's brilliant mind and fearless sense of adventure. Barbara Minerva was a famed archaeologist driven by her thirst for ancient power. On a fateful expedition, she uncovered the plant god Urskartaga and performed a desperate ritual. Instead of the blessing she craved, she was cursed, emerging as Cheetah, a half-human, half-feline being with extraordinary speed, agility, and fierce instincts. At first, Cheetah tried to cope with this new existence. She and Wonder Woman even teamed up briefly, with Diana offering her compassion and support, but Barbara's bitterness only grew. She saw Diana's gifts, granted by the gods of Olympus, as unfairly bestowed, while she had suffered through a harrowing curse to gain her own abilities. In her eyes, Wonder Woman represented everything she couldn't have: admiration, respect, and a divine blessing untainted by suffering. The real breaking point came when Cheetah blamed Wonder Woman for not saving her from the curse. She convinced herself that Diana's power could have reversed it if only the Amazon had tried harder. That resentment twisted into raw hatred, now driven by jealousy and the savage instincts of her new form. Cheetah vowed to tear down Wonder Woman's reputation and prove herself superior. From that moment on, every confrontation between them was a clash of ideals. Wonder Woman fought with compassion, determined to save her old friend. Cheetah lashed out in fury, refusing to accept help. Their battles grew legendary, from the hidden jungles of Africa to the bustling streets of Washington, D.C. Each encounter left scars, both physical and emotional. To this day, Cheetah remains Wonder Woman's most personal rival, a constant reminder that even the strongest bond can be broken by ambition and bitterness. But despite the chaos and violence, Diana still believes some part of Barbara Minerva is worth saving, and that unwavering hope only drives Cheetah further into rage, setting the stage for yet another showdown between two former allies turned bitter enemies. Superman versus Lex Luthor. From Metropolis' brightest to its darkest shadow, Clark Kent arrived in Metropolis as an alien with powers beyond imagination, flight, super strength, heat vision. He became its silver and blue champion, a beacon of hope. But lurking in gleaming skyscrapers was a man who saw Superman's gifts as a threat, Lex Luthor. Born into wealth and brilliance, Lex built LexCorp into a global powerhouse of science and industry. To him, Superman was an unearned interloper, an alien whose godlike abilities upended the natural order. From their first encounter, their destinies intertwined, one dedicated to protecting life, the other bent on proving human ingenuity could and should triumph over foreign saviors. Lex Luthor's fall and rise. Lex Luthor's early life was marked by tragedy. Orphaned in Smallville by a farm accident, later stories hint at his own negligence. Young Lex buried his bitterness under academic laurels, earning degrees in biochemistry, robotics, and business. By adulthood, he channeled genius into corporate empire building, pioneering clean energy and advanced AI. But success twisted into obsession when Superman swooped in to stop a runaway LexCorp reactor. Humiliated, Luthor resolved to dismantle Superman's reputation and prove that humanity's destiny lay in its own hands. In every boardroom speech and scientific paper, he laced subtle digs at the alien menace, rallying public opinion against the last son of Krypton. A battle of ideologies. Their rivalry transcends strength and laser eyes. It's a clash of worldviews. Superman embodies selfless service, believing in transparency and compassion. Lex Luthor demands control and accountability, convinced that unchecked power, alien or human, inevitably leads to tyranny. In landmark comics like Lex Luthor, Man of Steel, 2005, Luthor masterminds crises, synthetic disasters, engineered supervillains, corporate conspiracies, then plays savior for Metropolis's grateful masses, deepening public distrust of Superman. Each plot tests Clark's commitment to truth and restraint. Does he risk collateral damage by intervening, or let human ingenuity falter? Iconic confrontations. Their clashes have become comic lore. In For the Man Who Has Everything, Superman number 184, 1969, Luthor traps Superman in a parasitic dream realm, forcing him to relive a false, peaceful life without his powers. In Superman Exile, Action Comics number 687 to 69 to 1993. Luthor's political machination sends Superman into self-imposed exile, sowing chaos in his absence. Recently in Superman vs. Luthor Sacrifice 2021, a Luthor-engineered kryptonite epidemic tests Superman's resolve. He must choose between saving Metropolis or exposing Luthor's darkest secrets to the world. The unending duel. To this day, Lex Luthor remains Superman's most personal rival, a symbol that intellect and ambition can corrode even the most heroic ideals. Every time Clark extends a hand of friendship or mercy, Luthor twists it into proof of alien arrogance. Yet Superman never abandons hope that Lex's brilliance could serve humanity rather than dominate it. Their battle will endure as long as questions linger. Who deserves to hold power, and what price must be paid to keep it in check? For every heat vision blast and kryptonite trap, there lies a deeper war of philosophy, making their conflict one of comic history's most compelling sagas. Green Lantern vs. Sinestro, Light Against Fear. Hal Jordan, the brash test pilot chosen by a dying alien lantern, became Earth's protector in the intergalactic Green Lantern Corps. Armed with a ring powered by will, he he shaped constructs from pure energy, shields, aircraft, entire fortresses. But among the Corps' greatest members was Sinestro, once its greatest champion. A master of fear, Sinestro wielded his yellow-powered ring with flawless precision. Their destinies intertwined from the moment Sinestro took young Hal under his wing, teaching him that the only limits to his power were the limits he placed on himself. Sinestro's fall from Grey Style. Sinestro hailed from Korugar, a planet torn by chaos and oppression. As the Corps' brightest lantern, he imposed order with harsh efficiency, using his ring to single-handedly suppress crime. When the Guardians rebuked him for ruling as a despot, Sinestro's faith in the Corps shattered. He stole a yellow ring, powered by fear rather than will, and founded the Sinestro Corps. He believed that only fear could keep order, not the Guardians' naive idealism. Casting Hal out as a traitor, Sinestro vowed to show that courage is hollow without respect, born of fear. A war of wills and fears. Their rivalry isn't just about power rings. It's a philosophical clash. Hal Jordan's courage-driven green ring thrives on fearless hope, improvisation, and humility. Sinestro's yellow ring feeds on dread, manipulation, and control. When they clash, energy constructs collide. Hal's emerald wings against Sinestro's ivory spikes, luminous cages versus crushing, fear-lashed whips. In pivotal arcs like Sinestro Corps War, Sinestro marshals thousands under yellow banners, forcing Hal to unite the Corps and rediscover the strength of unity over dominance. Iconic showdowns. Their duels have reshaped galaxies. In Green Lantern, Volume 4, from number 10 to number 15, Sinestro's siege on Oa tests the Corps' unity, pushing Hal to the brink of despair and back again. In Green Lantern Rebirth, from number 1 to number 6, Hal's return revitalizes the green light, culminating in a duel on Korugar's shattered throne room. And in War of the Green Lanterns, Sinestro's betrayal within Oa's central power battery nearly turns every lantern yellow, forcing Hal to tap into willpower beyond imagination. The eternal struggle. To this day, Sinestro embodies the seductive lure of order through fear, while Hal Jordan stands for unbreakable will and hope. Each offers a warning. Unchecked courage can become reckless, and unchecked fear can become tyranny. Their endless conflict reminds us that true strength lies not in domination or denial of emotion, but in the courage to face fear itself, transforming it into the light that guides us forward.